You're tuned to The Drive on your 24/7 home of the black and gold. Steelers Nation Radio.
Good afternoon, Steeler Nation. It's The Drive on the Steelers Audio Network. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson with you here for the next 2 hours on this Thursday. Tonight, 8 p.m., schedule release day. Matt, we do know some of the games for sure, concrete, ironclad, that have been announced by the league.
Yeah.
Including the 9 international games. Another one for the Pittsburgh Steelers in Paris against the Saints. And a couple others that have started to leak out here and been credibly reported that we'll get to.
Mm-hmm.
But tonight, 8 o'clock,
we obviously
Matt,
handled the international stuff pretty heavy yesterday, of course. You know, and I urge people to check that out. There wasn't video yesterday, but, you know, we had to make do.
And let me double check here on Twitter real quick so I can give the right guy proper credit. DSR on Twitter tweeted me and said, the Mexico game that you were discussing is still at the Azteca Stadium. They just sold the naming rights, so it has, a new name.
Okay.
I should
appreciate that.
I mean, right?
I would have never known that.
It's 2026 now. Everything is for sale. The naming rights of nothing are sacred anymore. They can be bought. And
we were contemplating, is it called the Superdome still? I'm sure it's something else.
Caesars Sportsbook Superdome now, which is what a lot of those places are doing. And hey, I can't knock it. I understand.
Right.
You make your money where you can. And Matt, I've made this joke before, but if I ever hit the Powerball and over $1 billion and cleared $600 million after taxes or whatever it would be, there'd be a stadium in Morgantown named after me somewhere.
There you go.
We'd figure it out.
What's that Geico commercial or whatever? It's like Jablonski Auto Body there or whatever. Yeah, right.
That's exactly right.
Right. I get it.
Everything in Morgantown would be the Uhler Football Stadium, the Uhler Basketball Stadium, the Uhler Ice Castle. We'd make it all happen there. But along the lines of the schedule tonight, 8 o'clock, all the questions will become answers. Everyone can finalize or make their travel plans and all that good stuff. Certainly as well.
Urge everyone to tune into the show we'll be doing live too.
Yes,
tonight. It's not The Drive, but yeah, I'll be on.
8 o'clock. Matt with Pursuta. We'll have an hour special show on DVE and on Steelers Nation Radio, kind of breaking down everything and how the schedule plays out and what we like and what we don't like and the bye weeks and the rest advantages and all those good things. Matt, we do have a couple of more Steelers games that, again, these have not. We always preface when we have these type of conversations.
Yeah, but I think we're crazy to ignore it.
Same here. This is the new age that we live in with social media and insiders, and nothing is sacred anymore. You all know this. You watch the NFL draft, and the picks are being announced 2 picks ahead of time on Twitter by insiders. That's just the world we live in now, but Matt and I always make sure to preface that these are reports. Credible reports. Matt and I don't
think they're on NFL.com, though.
Correct.
Right.
We're not pulling these from some black and gold Steelers Nation account on Twitter. Some
their mom's basement.
Some random Instagram, Terrible Town Nation poster. These are all from credible football reporters. Some of them from people that cover the teams that the Steelers will be playing that have obviously their own information and their own sources. But, Matt, one of the things we speculated about is the Steelers, in likelihood, or at least we thought, Week 8 having a bye week after that Paris trip.
Do we think that? I haven't seen – I've ignored a lot of the reports and whatnot. Do we think that's going to happen?
It sounds like the Steelers will have a different kind of bye week in Week 8. They'll be hosting the Cleveland Browns at home.
That's actually kind of good, too.
I mean, I don't hate that.
I don't hate that either. Okay. Assuming these are true, I mean, again,
preface, this is
asterisks, etc.
Credible reports, but nothing's official until it's official.
Okay. See, I kind of liked it originally because I want to bye week in the middle of the season.
Right, smack dab in the middle of the season.
That's something we talked about yesterday. It's like, well, if they're going to France in Week 7, Week 8 would be a great time for a bye. Okay.
Maybe you'll get it Week 9.
But it's also one of your easier – not necessarily games, but, I mean, you don't have to go anywhere. It's a home game. You would think you're favored in that game. I mean, things could change. Deshaun Watson could be a top 5 quarterback again, and the Steelers could be all kinds of banged up and tired and, whatnot. Yep. But it doesn't look too daunting, to say the least. I'm fine with that. I mean, if you're not going to have a bye, that would be my next choice.
Some of the other ones that have trickled out, Matt, a week 1 home opener against the Falcons. Week 3 first divisional game at home against the Bengals. Week 5, the what seemingly it seems like this team, despite not being in the Steelers division, has been on the schedule pretty much every year in the last decade or so. The Colts coming to town week 5, week 6 at Tampa Bay. So
okay, that's not too hot then.
Not in September.
Right.
So that's probably about right when you'd be like, all right, it'll start to cool off.
Yeah,
second week
acceptable,
in October.
Right. And you don't want to go there week 1, 2, 3.
Also being widely reported by a lot of credible outlets that the Steelers will host a Black Friday game, the Black Friday game.
It's a standalone game, right?
One of these now, which would be a 3 o'clock Black Friday game at home against the Denver Broncos.
I kind of like that, especially just like from a fan, my viewing from my lazy boy perspective can totally concentrate on it. There's nothing else going on. It's not like it's going to be a super late night for you or anybody else. My hunch on that, and I don't like to, again, all speculation, guys.
Reckless speculation warning, right?
No one's telling us, tidbits here that are official. But when you see a game like that, and I'm sure by tonight at 8, they'll have several standalone night games. It makes me think the league doesn't think Mason Rudolph's probably your starting quarterback. Let's leave it at that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, they probably think there's a more marketable dude behind center than Mason Rudolph or Will Howard.
I think so. That is always one of the things that you're good at kind of reading the tea leaves on.
Yeah.
And so, that
hint. Remember, they started with the Jets last year. Wonder why that was. Right.
I've talked with you before. Like, Thanksgiving is the only time in the calendar year that we get both families together. My family, my wife's family. It's a big deal to me for that reason. It's almost, I would say, even bigger deal than Christmas or anything else because it's the only time I get both sides of the family together. And I was saying with my wife, I was like, you know what? That's about as good as it could work out. 3 o'clock on Black Friday. That's fine.
Yeah. Then you are done.
We'll have all day. We'll have all day Thursday, obviously, but then Saturday I'm not getting on a plane somewhere, something like that. We'll have the weekend too. So I think that'll be fun.
And the night before won't be super late for you by the time you. I don't remember if Black Friday's home or road. Reportedly,
home game, which means I won't have to get on a plane on Thanksgiving and leave the family and all that stuff.
You should be thrilled about that.
I'm thrilled about that. All I need is final reassurance that the Steelers aren't playing on Christmas, and all will be well in the world of Wesley because
maybe I'll come down and visit you guys on Black Friday if that's the case. Nothing else to do instead of sitting in my lazy boy,
exactly
right? Yeah.
And I don't have to worry this year, Matt. Sadly, and won't have to for the next 3 years, about any potential backyard brawl conflicts, as that game will not return until 2029, unfortunately. So, dodge the Thanksgiving bullet, it appears. Fingers crossed for Christmas. I know nobody else cares about that. In fact,
that's my wife sure cares about that. That's like the only thing on the schedule she cares about.
It's funny. I was driving after dropping my girls off at daycare this morning. I was listening to the DVE morning show on my way back, and they had Guy Junker on.
It was his birthday yesterday.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm happy. It's weird that I know that. We're just happen to be friends on Facebook, and it popped up. Yeah.
Guy was saying that he now roots for the holiday games because he just sits at home and drinks a beer and doesn't,
Oh, okay. So it makes the holidays better.
He's like the years where the Steelers played on Thanksgiving and Christmas in the past, it almost got me divorced, and I hated it.
Oh, it's brutal. Yeah.
And so I was just laughing because I totally see.
It strains things at home a little. Yeah.
Selfishly, I never want the Steelers to play on a holiday, but if I was just a fan, I would 100% want the Steelers to play on the holidays.
It's probably a blast. Yeah.
So I totally get it. And then it sounds like 2 of the primetime games that have been announced, Matt, Week 13 at home against the Texans on Sunday Night Football.
Okay.
Week 14 at Jacksonville Monday Night Football. In my mind.
So it'll be back-to-back. Okay.
And in my mind, too, that Week 14, that's like the first week of December, I think.
Yeah.
That's going to be a nice time to be going to Florida, baby. I'm going to be ready to put some shorts on and see some sunshine at that point in the calendar.
I'm sure some listeners did not listen yesterday, and shame on you for 6 weeks if that's the case. But you mentioned, and I never would have thought of this, Jacksonville Stadium is being renovated this year, so there are way fewer seats.
Only 45,000.
Yeah, and if that's a primetime game, it's going to be a bigger draw than ever. So I urge you guys that are traveling, because that does look like a great spot to travel. Coincidentally, my best bud, he has 2 little kids that they've never lived in Pittsburgh, but he moved from after he graduated Slippery Rock, moved right to Jacksonville, and now he lives in Tennessee. Both those teams are hosting the Steelers this year, and he still goes back and forth to work to Jacksonville and he lived in Jacksonville for like 25 years. So I'm like, perfect, dude. You got to be at both those games with your young kids, teach them the ways of the black and gold.
That's awesome. I have a bunch of family that lives in Nashville. They're all diehard Steelers fans. And they're very pumped for the black and gold to be rolling into Music City.
A lot of my other buddies were just sending out a text too, like, Simps, we're coming to. I hope your house can hold about 20 Steeler fans. You're getting flooded, dude.
But my cousin Amelia and her husband Michael, they're like in their late 20s. They live in downtown Nashville proper.
Okay.
They can like see Nissan Stadium from their apartment.
Oh wow!
And they are so excited. Like they're so pumped.
I bet some people are going to come visit.
Yeah, they were like, we're already.
Those are great destination spots.
Oh, awesome.
Side note: I didn't realize this yesterday when we did the show, but I guess there's a fair amount of upset Steeler fans that wanted to go to New Orleans, which I understand.
I get it.
But this is still pretty darn cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
And I get that too. I think I've had this conversation with you, Matt, before. I think the only three cities in this country that I haven't been to that I really want to get to: New Orleans, San Francisco, Kansas City. Okay. I've been pretty fortunate. I've been to like 42 or 43 of the 50 states, traveled a lot with my dad, traveled a lot in minor league hockey, traveled a lot in my sports career. But I've still never been to San Francisco. I've still never been to Kansas City. I've still never been to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. So there was part of me that was like, oh man, like I was going to go. I was going to finally get to New Orleans. But also, you can go to New Orleans for a weekend or for a long week or for a vacation.
Another one of my buddies are like,
much easier than you can go to Paris.
Go anyway.
Go anyway. Exactly right. Go anyway.
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? You'll have a great
You'll
time.
You'll probably have a good time.
It's New Orleans.
The only time I was in New Orleans actually was like for 4 or 5 days, and it was the College Coaches Convention, which, if you think about how many college coaches there are at all levels, I mean, it was UTEP coaches walking by. I mean, pretty fun time in the bars. I mean, a lot of testosterone and beer drinking and hanging down there. Yeah,
I believe it. New Orleans is not. I don't think it's quite on Indy's and Vegas's level in terms of hosting events, but it's certainly one of the better.
I mean, they've had a lot of Super Bowls.
Might be like just a half step down from Indianapolis and Vegas in terms of hosting massive events.
But I never thought of that angle that some people were. When you saw where the road trips are going to be, like, I'm going to New Orleans no matter what it was.
Yeah.
Then like,
and I understand
you're not.
that. I would understand being bummed about that. Maybe that's kind of the other side of me rooting for non-holiday games for the Steelers. I can't put that out there and then, rag on people who wanted to go to New Orleans for a weekend and see the black and gold.
But nobody had anyone booked. I mean, it wasn't like you had your flights scheduled. You only know when they were going to play.
Sure.
Yeah, right.
Sure. So, yeah, just reroute to Paris, and I promise you'll have a good time. And we'll all get to New Orleans eventually. All right,
I'm sure
we'll make it happen. So there's kind of the start of the day. There's some of the
So real quick, I want to rewind. There was a Sunday night home rumors.
Yes, Sunday night home,
Houston.
Week 13 against Houston,
and then
week
on the road
14 on the road Monday Night Football in Jacksonville.
That's not bad. Like I don't love traveling after a night game, but you get an extra day, so that's not bad, right?
Yeah, and you'll be. I'm sure the players at that point too won't mind, 48 hours in a warmer climate.
That makes sense too.
To maybe help expedite some healing of some of those bumps and bruises that time of year.
And then I'm going to keep an eye out when the schedule is official. If that Monday night game is true on the road, hopefully they have a home game week 15. Because I really think it's a little rough on teams when you travel on a Monday night and then you got to travel the following week.
I agree with you on that, my friend.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. Sounds like also some very credible reports rolling across the timeline here now that the Steelers will be headed to New England for week 2. I love New England in the fall. Massachusetts, Rhode Island. It's a beautiful area.
I guess that's better.
It
is beautiful, actually. I remember going to Boston College thinking this place is unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
I guess that's better than super late. I mean,
Weather.
I just don't know who weather would even favor.
Like if you said to me right now, Wes, you could pick, you're going to go to New England and Jacksonville, pick 1 week 2, pick 1 week 14. That's how I would.
I would switch. I would have it that way.
Let's go to New England early and let's go to Jacksonville late.
And we've avoided this subject, but There are some head coach things going on in New England right now. Might there be a little unrest with this team early in the season? I could see that.
I tell you what, they might be getting them at a good time, potentially.
Yeah.
We'll see. So there's some thoughts on what we know, or at least credible reports about the schedule so far. Of course, we will spend plenty of time getting into that after the fact and once everything is ironclad. I want to talk a little all breakout team, some candidates to really burst onto the scene here in 2026 as we continue to get this show going here on a Thursday. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, it is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Time to talk some all breakout team here on this Thursday, Matt. This was a fun article you sent me last night. A candidate.
This was Pro Football Focus, I think.
Pro Football Focus.
Yeah.
A candidate at every position, and there's 2 wide receivers, but you get what I'm saying.
Sure. 2 guards and
a candidate at every position to break out here in this 2026 season.
I thought there were some good names.
Yeah, I did too.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're not obvious,
Some of them are, quarterback example. Cam Ward makes a lot of sense.
I'm totally on board with that, though, and that would be my pick. I think the new coaching staff will help him quite a bit. They used an early pick on a receiver, which makes all the sense in the world just to kind of make his life easier. If you look at his numbers,
Brian Dable, I think, is nice.
I do too.
Nice for him.
I was a big fan of him coming out. I think he's got a lot of traits. I thought his tape and especially the highlights were way more encouraging than the stats or the advanced stats. I don't know what the Pro Football Focus grades were, and frankly, I don't really care. But I am all in on Ward.
Well, part of this, too, is that a player must have been under a 75 overall grade.
Oh, okay.
Last
I didn't read the
season.
parameters. Okay.
So that disqualifies the likes of Jihad Campbell, Luther Burden, and Colston Loveland, all who graded very highly in their rookie seasons.
Loveland in particular definitely broke out already and is a top 3 or 4 tight end in the league.
Running back, Matt, I bet you this one won't surprise you either, but Ashton Genty of the Raiders.
Yeah, and again, I don't know why he would grade super low other than he just wasn't that productive, but he had nowhere to run.
He had maybe I think Vegas and the Chargers had the worst offensive lines in football last year.
I would say so, and it was really poorly coached, and they would just miss blocks, and communication and stuff like that was poor as well. But I guess he did have some highlights. They did say he had 61 missed tackles, which was the 6th most among running backs in the NFL last year. Okay, and that's his specialty. He's really hard to get on the ground, low, powerful, doesn't absorb big hits. Yes, I haven't changed my tune on him as a prospect at all,
You bring in Kubiak's offensive scheme, you beef up that offensive line a little bit. I think he'll I think he'll finally come good on some of those.
Yeah, I'm not worried about his career path or anything yet.
2 wide receivers, Matthew Golden of the Green Bay Packers.
Ooh, it's a bit of a leap.
That is a bit of a leap. And this one's interesting because he started out his career last year. He started out his rookie year so hot, but then really cooled off. Emeka Egbuka of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah, and Matt Harmon just did his Emeka Egbuka reception perception. He's working through second-year players right now. And I knew it at the time, but I didn't know how drastic it was. But I think it was from week 8 on, maybe 9, something like that, because is when he really fell off a cliff. But there was also an injury that directly correlated to that. And Mayfield really fell apart too. There was everything was going wrong. So I don't know that he'll be as red hot as he was those first 8 games. He was lighting it up. And
he was Offensive Rookie of the Year at that point.
Running away with it at that point. Now, it'll probably be somewhere in between, but I think the former version's more likely than the secondary version. As for Golden, I like him. I don't know that he'll ever be a volume hog, but they've moved 2 receivers. They traded one to the Eagles.
Wicks, right?
Wicks went to the Eagles.
Yep.
Yeah, I was blanking on the name myself. And Dobbs signed with the Patriots.
Yep.
So they really didn't, reinforce that at all. They gave Jaden Reed big money, who's somebody I'm really looking at heavily in fantasy because I think he'll be on the field a ton now. I think Watson's pretty much the one. Kraft comes back too. So I think Golden will be a piece of the puzzle, but I don't know that he's going to put up huge numbers.
tight end. This one surprised me a little bit, but I guess he had a real hot end of the season, and this is kind of a cumulative thing, but Harold Fannin Jr., the Browns tight end. I mean, he was really good last year.
I was going to say, he put up such big numbers and was featured so heavily. I'm surprised he seems like he's cheating a little bit.
It seems like they might be cheating a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, he was graded 13th amongst their qualified tight ends. I don't know if that's someone who really needs to break out when they're already like one of the best dozen tight ends in the National Football League.
So I'll be honest on him. I've been a little hesitant to kind of grant him the praise that he has deserved for two reasons. First off, they really schemed him up like crazy last year. And it's a new coaching staff. I mean, Stefanski's gone. He was a very bad quarterback-friendly option for them. They would get him the ball in space quick, and a lot like Warren at Penn State. Just get the ball in our hands because the receivers are bad, the line's bad, the quarterback's bad. And that's just good coaching. But the other reason is I didn't like him that much coming out of school. So sometimes it takes a little while until you realize maybe I was just wrong on this dude. He might just be good at football. He was super productive at a small school in the MAC. He runs kind of goofy. He's not a normal tight end. And I was just like, I don't know if this will translate the league. Well, it is. I mean, we'll see. This is another hurdle, though, is this year with a new coaching staff.
Matt's old Akron roots won't let him like a Bowling Green guy.
Oh, yeah.
Too much rivalry there. I like seeing these guys still coming out of the MAC, though. Come on, in this NIL transfer portal era. 2 tackles, obviously, Matt. Amarius Mims of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And Kelvin Banks Jr. of the New Orleans Saints.
Okay. That Saints O-line to me is very underrated. And this is exactly, we'll get there. But they were able to take Fuaga, who was drafted with Baltanu, and they put Fuaga, like that entire draft class, they put him on the left side, and he struggled as a rookie. So then they draft Banks the next year, back-to-back tackles. Sounds familiar, right?
Sure does.
And both of them went to their natural spots. Banks goes to the left, Fuaga goes to the right, and they got way better at both tackle spots. Fuaga's way more comfortable on the right. I hope for his sake he never moves. Banks is another one I thought was a good prospect, not a great prospect, and he went like 10th or 11th overall last year, which I just kind of attributed to the tackle tax. Like you're just going to pay more for starting tackles. Tax. And he was better than I thought, too. I mean, he could be a top 6 or 7 type tackle this year, and that line has a chance to be really good. Mims will always kind of be linked around here with Broderick, just because they're Georgia, extremely talented, very raw, and he's turned the corner in a big way, too.
Back half of the season was friendly to him.
Yeah, he'll be their best lineman.
And you've mentioned a couple times when we've done AFC North conversation or Bengals conversation about how that offensive line really improved down the stretch and
I
could
thought
be
it
a
was
strength
better.
of that team this year.
Yeah.
Interior offensive lineman, a familiar name here. Guard Gray Zabel from the Seattle Seahawks and guard Mason McCormick from the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Love it. I thought Zabel was a really good prospect coming out. Hit the ground running on the Super Bowl team. Still needs to be a little more consistent, and it's rare for a rookie offensive lineman at any of these positions to really be consistent week after week. And I thought McCormick finished the season extremely strong. So good that he's on there. I think he deserves that.
Yeah, they basically...
What do they have to say about him?
I wanted to read the blurb on Mason McCormick. The Steelers have developed several homegrown offensive linemen on the rise in recent years, and McCormick could be the next breakout candidate. The South Dakota State product was significantly better in his second year, with his overall grade jumping from 57.7 to 72.9. Much of the improvement was fostered by late season success. From week 10 on, McCormick was our 10th best graded guard overall. With a 81 pass blocking mark. He still has room to grow in the run game and playing more steadily, but his work in pass protection could have him in an improved standing under Mike McCarthy.
I agree with all that. Yeah, I definitely thought he was better in the second half of the season than the first. Kind of shocked he was even at that level. They said something like from week 10 on, he was one of their highest graded guards.
10th highest graded guard.
I mean, that's a big sample. That's almost half the season. Yeah. Coincidentally, I was listening to a podcast since we got together. NFL Daily, it's one of the NFL.com ones, and Ollie Connolly is one of my favorite analysts out there that nobody knows about because he doesn't self-promote a whole lot, but he's on like once a week. They did an O-line draft, and the Broncos were the first pick, the Eagles were the second pick, And I think the Steelers were the third. They were the third or fourth.
Sounds about right.
Where they're going to be right now. Like who you want to go to battle with right now for this year. And I still got to think that if you could be at that level, which is phenomenal, would all take that, of course. But the best is really yet to come. I mean, these young guys, we've talked about how inconsistent young offensive linemen are across the board. They could just be scratching the surface. And if they're a borderline top 5 type O-line now, just wait.
Just
man.
wait.
Yeah.
Ooh, I get excited thinking about how that Zach Frazier guy might just be starting to scratch the surface. Good Lord. Center, Jared Wilson from the New England Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
They moved him around, right?
Yeah, I was trying to think how that went. He's a center at Georgia.
Yes.
He played guard a lot, I think pretty much his entire rookie year. And then they traded their center to the Bears, and I think he now will go back to his natural spot, which is perfect for him. And he was fine at guard. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that's a good one.
That is going to be interesting to see how that plays out there in New England. It's weird. There's not a ton of young center candidates to fit this bill right now.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking who else would even be in the mix?
Jackson Powers-Johnson has been moved to guard. Frazier's not a breakout candidate anymore. What's his name from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
Yeah, Graham Barton. He's already been quite good.
Not a breakout candidate anymore.
Let alone like Creed Humphrey and those dudes.
Of course.
Yeah.
Matt, let's pop over to the defensive side of the football here. And, same type of thing. One guy for every position except for, where you have 2 guys on the field. Edge defenders, obviously being one of those. Dallas Turner from the Minnesota Vikings. And Donovan Ezekiraku, I believe is how he pronounces his last name. Is it Ezeraku? Okay.
Boston College
from the Cowboys.
Yeah. Not that he's going to be Micah Parsons or anything, but it made the Parsons trade a little easier.
That one's interesting, though, because they have Rashawn Gary and they just drafted Malachi Lawrence.
Right, so they might be able to piece it together. Yeah, sure. None of those guys are Parsons, of course, but still, that's not bad. I liked Ezeraku a lot. He was an early second-round pick. And Dallas Turner was the other one.
Dallas Turner, yeah. He's going to have an improved role in that defense in Minnesota.
They traded up for him after taking McCarthy in the first round. Invested a ton of picks in him. He was like non-existent as a rookie, but then you started to see a little bit. He's been kind of a slow burn.
He has. Former 17th pick overall. Last year's step in the right direction, 12% pass rush win rate, 70.2 pass rush grade, and more meaningful playing time and improved production on the way this season.
Starting to get what they invested out of him a little bit.
Interior defenders, 2 familiar names, I think, because we talked about both of these guys and their potential to be Steelers in recent draft years. Walter Nolan of the Arizona Cardinals being one of those guys, and Tyleik Williams of the Detroit Lions.
Okay. I'm not sure I agree on Williams. Not that he's a bad player, but he's much like his teammate from last year, McDonald, who was an early second-round pick this year.
He's a run-stuffing.
Yeah. I mean, he's a bowling ball.
He's good he doesn't have a ton of clubs in his bag.
No.
But he's good at what he does.
Where Nolan is, with all respect to Harmon and Grant, was clearly the most talented of those 3. They were often lumped together.
You loved him coming out of Ole Miss.
I did. There was some volatility to his profile, just put it that way. And he had trouble staying on the field as a rookie, but boy, he flashed what you thought he could be, as an upfield.
The games that he was on the field.
Potentially dominant guy.
Yes, yeah. He was very impressive. But got to be able to stay healthy. But, man, if he's all systems go, he could be one of the best young interior defenders in the NFL. Linebackers, Matt, 2 of them listed here. Ventrell Miller of the Jacksonville Jaguars and Teddy Buchanan of the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay. I'd have to do a little more homework on both these guys.
Buchanan's interesting.
What's that?
Buchanan's an interesting one.
Yeah, because they drafted Simpson to really be that guy, and he's been disappointing. That's why they let Queen go next to Roquan.
They thought they had a replacement.
Yes, and Simpson has kind of left the door open for someone else to step in, and he's in the process of losing his job. And then Jacksonville let one of my favorite linebackers, Devin Lloyd, walk because this dude's playing well. Miller, right.
Devin Lloyd, Chicago?
He ended up with the Panthers. They paid him a lot, and he's a good player.
2 corners, Noel Williams of the Kansas City Chiefs and Trey Amos of the Washington Commanders.
Okay.
Williams just kind of, being the next
Yeah, he's in
Chiefs
line now.
corner that's in line and will have an opportunity.
They're hoping him and Delane will be
alongside Mansour Delane. Yeah,
that they'll be a pairing for a long time. They have a great track record of developing those third, fourth round corners, which is exactly what he was.
And then they trade him for a first round pick.
Yeah. Do it again, Who was the other corner again?
Trey Amos of the Washington Commanders.
Okay. Yeah, I liked him coming out too, and there's certainly an opportunity for him.
And then 2 safeties to round out this list, Malachi Starks of the Baltimore Ravens and Cole Bishop of the Buffalo Bills.
Bishop was a elite tester, big-bodied, explosive.
Another one of those Utah guys.
Yeah,
man.
Utah.
They're kind of like Iowa. They just know how to put pros into the NFL.
It seems like, especially on defense. Like
especially
they all play
on defense
hard.
And especially in the trenches.
And I thought he kind of was up and down as their whole defense was last year. But I could definitely see him as a breakout candidate. Starks, yes, sure. He was a first-round safety. A year ago in that draft, most, and myself included, looked at him like, that's a really safe pick. He's going to be what are you doing, TV?
TV's in here moving around the camera,
everything around,
scaring us all over the place.
And
just let him cook.
You kind of looked at Starks, and it's a perfect example of why you should never do this with any prospect. Oh, he's NFL ready. He'll come in, hit the ground running. What a steal he was by the Ravens late in the first round. And he was fine, but he wasn't a difference maker. And he's not like a super duper athlete. So maybe year 2, you get back to, he's a plus starter,
Yeah,
that's a good list, though.
It's a good list.
Yeah.
Especially.
They weren't like first, except for Cam Ward. They weren't super high picks.
There were 1 or 2 that were super high picks, but most of those guys were mid-first round or later guys, and a lot of familiar names, but maybe a real opportunity. A lot, especially on the defensive side of the ball. There was a lot of non-Ashton Genties and Cam Wards, and that's a good list. That was a fun exercise. I enjoyed reading through that this morning, and obviously wanted to get your thoughts on all these guys.
Second or third year Steeler not named McCormick that could be maybe not on this list, but for the team. I would say Harmon.
Harmon, certainly. I mean,
I'm expecting a little more out of Y.A. Black.
Y.A. Black, certainly. We love him, but Darnell Washington.
Yeah.
On a national scale like this, I don't think you can say it for Herbig.
He may have already just popped in as what he is and just as a dominant
I don't think you can say it for Herbig. You can't say it for JPJ, certainly. Y.A. Black's a really good one. Derek Harmon, too, certainly.
You'd love like Roman Wilson or Caleb Johnson. A surprise, but I'm not putting a chip on those.
Yes.
The O-line as a whole, I mean, I kind of think Faltanu and Frazier are what they are at this point, too.
I think it's too. You're almost good in that sense with Faltanu and Frazier and Herbig and JPJ, where they've already broken out.
Which is where you want to be.
Which is absolutely where you want to be.
I think you could hope for a little more out of Benton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Benton and Harmon are fair ones.
Yeah. Pedigree there. There's talent there.
I tell you what, though, if Roman Wilson or Caleb Johnson were to...
That would be wonderful.
That would be a nice added bonus for this offense, certainly. One more segment to go. We'll close down this first hour when we return. On the other side, Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. If you've listened to this show over its history, you're obviously familiar with the name and probably the face now, too, because he's on SportsCenter all the time, of Jeremy Fowler.
Sure.
He is a senior reporter for ESPN. He actually just joined Matt and I for a segment when we were out in the desert in Phoenix for the league meetings not too long ago. Typically joins us at the Combine and things like that as well. Covered the Steelers for a long time. Matt and I have shared the stories about how he used to be in the same dorm wing as us in Latrobe. Jeremy...
He'd probably make it back to Latrobe this year, too. I bet we'll see him.
Most years he's still there, not for the entire 3 weeks.
No, but he stops by, right?
Couple days and says hello and maybe even surprises us at Sharky's and hangs out for a few minutes. Matt, with that, Jeremy, he does throughout the offseason a lot of I phrased that wrong, anonymous executive articles and reports and lists. So, for example, he'll poll all kinds of executives and coaches across the league and ask them for their top 10 quarterbacks and things like that.
Yeah.
One of the things that he does,
stuff.
it is, and it's right.
And they're usually
source.
pretty candid, it seems, and I think it's a pretty trustworthy source.
One of the things that he does, and he just released it, is essentially asking NFL executives to predict storylines for this season.
Oh, fun. Okay.
And some of these are some things that we've kind of touched on in the past, and just wanted to kick a few of these around with you as we close down the first hour here. The first is the Cincinnati Bengals will put questions of Joe Burrow's future in Cincinnati to rest. They've invested in the defense. They've gone out and gotten Lawrence. They'll continue to do enough to prove that to Joe Burrow that they're serious about winning, and he doesn't need to look for greener pastures elsewhere.
I try to be as objective as around the division as possible, but I've given them credit on these airwaves quite a bit the last month or two for realizing what they got and not screwing it up and not trying to be chintzy about things and being aggressive in a win now mode, because history shows that has not been their forte over the years, to say the least. They'd be nuts to let him get even uncomfortable, let alone let him go.
Completely agree.
Yeah.
And I do think their actions have backed that up a little bit, that they realize that they are in a window now and they need to operate a little bit differently than they traditionally have.
Now, it's not a super long shot, but I mentioned not that long ago that put a couple ducats down on him for MVP, because he's not like at the top of the list. He's not the Josh Allen. I just think that Burrow, his mentality, his competitiveness, he's been a little out of sight, out of mind with those other tier 1 quarterbacks, a lot because of injury. He may have a monster season.
I'm just very happy that you used the term ducats there. I can't. Can I tell you something funny? When I was with the Youngstown Phantoms, the hockey team, I had to do sales stuff, as I've told you and shared the stories before. I was the voice of the team. I was the PR guy. I did all the social media and website content. I sold tickets. I did everything. When I would make a sale, a big sale, and I'd go jogging back into the sales room to be like, I just sold $1,100 to Jiffy Lube.
Okay.
They would call me, here comes Dr. Ducats.
Nice.
That was the nickname that the sales guys gave me, was Dr. Ducats, whenever I'd come bounding into the room with exciting news. Number 2, teams will be jockeying for draft position in this strong quarterback draft class, something that we have alluded to a million times, but now it's coming from NFL executives.
And I think the league will hate it. Like, they don't want irrelevant games. They don't want
the
anything.
NBA and the NHL and the tankathon. And
they don't want anything resembling tanking. They don't want good players getting shut down late in the season. But I bet if this college season goes even 50% the way we think it will, that it's going to happen. I mean, I just think it will. 50%
the way we think it will. There's going to be still 3 or 4 first-round dynamite quarterbacks.
Yeah,
there could be 7 or 8. But
need to get in like the top 6 to really be, which isn't great for the Steelers, because I don't see the Steelers being one of those teams.
I don't either.
Oh, you're on a 3 or 4 win path to get in that neighborhood. So along those lines, I always tell this story, and Dale and I, the day that the Steelers traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick, remember Ben was hurt?
Yeah.
Everyone lost their mind. You're giving up a top 5 pick this year for good safety. Everyone liked Minkah, but you can't give that away. That's going to be a future quarterback.
Could be Justin Herbert. Could have been Justin Herbert.
Yeah. Everyone's like, that was tank for 2 a year when that happened, et cetera. People didn't know that Burrow and Herbert were the better prospects. But I remember even laying it out. It's like, do you know how bad you have to be to really get there? People are like, that could be the first overall pick you traded.
No, it wouldn't have been the first overall pick, but it could have very easily been a top 10 pick.
Right. But we went through the teams and we're like, do you know how bad you have to be to really pick in like the top 2? This team's not going to be that bad.
The Steelers' defense at that point was way too good already.
Right.
And then you had Minkah.
Right.
Who had what, like 7 interceptions in his first 7 games or something like that.
And we're like, do you know how bad the Browns are right now? And it's not going to be a top 3 pick.
Even if you wouldn't traded for Minkah, you might have still ended up drafting 12th or 13th. Or,
because
you win 7 games.
Right. I mean, there's almost always somebody worse, let alone than worse than the Steelers.
That 2018 and 2019 Steelers defense was elite.
Yeah, and again, they had a winning record, as everyone knows,
Another one here, Matt. The Eagles will face a difficult decision about Jalen Hurts' future. I think that's absolutely going to be the case.
Yeah, and they've done some sneaky things, like didn't trade Tanner McKee, who I knew they love. And you've said this, the organization loves Hurts, but they're greatly changing their offense. I mean, their first 2 picks
What if Sirianni's not the coach anymore and the new head coach comes in and goes, Hurts isn't my cup of tea?
Yeah, I think he's at a career crossroads much more than people might think for his track record and his win record. Because, I mean, they drafted Lemon, who they traded up for, as we all know, and a move tight end in Stowers, and they're going to play with a lot more condensed formations, guys closer to the ball. I'm talking about receivers, and A.J. Brown, an outside guy, is going to be gone. And what I'm saying is they're designing an offense to throw over the middle of the field, and no one throws over the middle of the field less or worse than Hurts. And if he doesn't, they're not going to change the system back for him, He's limited things there a lot. That's why Brown wanted out.
And if the offensive line isn't quite as good and Saquon isn't quite as good, those guys are B pluses instead of A pluses.
Right. Then Lane Johnson retires after the season. It's like, whoa, all of a sudden we got some issues,
Matt, just 2 or 3 more of these that I want to kick by you. And, of course, one is related to the Steelers. Nick Herbig becomes he got how much guy in free agency.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like hearing this, but I could certainly see this being the case.
I really hope they do not allow him to get to the market. But if you do the best thing for the Herbig family and you're Nick and his agent right now, are you signing a deal in Latrobe?
Not unless I'm really impressed by that number.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have to be a big number. I'm thinking it's like 20-ish.
If it's 20-ish, I am very willing to sign pen to paper and get the long-term security.
And then immediately you say, though, but if I would hit the market, it would be obscene. I mean,
obscene, especially if he has a double-digit sack season.
Mm-hmm. But why would he sign it to paper? Because he's still going to be number 3. I mean, how many snaps are you going to get compared to the other high-end edge guys? You might make him count more than anybody, but you're not going to play 1,000 snaps next year no matter what, even if there are injuries in front of you. And what if you get hurt this year? So there is reason for him to say yes to a deal, but it's not going to be cheap. What he does is really, really valuable.
It's very valuable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be something we're going to spend a lot of time discussing further, I think, here as we get closer and closer.
And I'm sure they've already had these talks, but the Steelers are going to have some tough decisions on if you give him that kind of money, do you field offers for Highsmith or, something like that? Right.
2 more here, and they both relate to quarterbacks. The first one, Matt, I don't see it at all, but it's Deshaun Watson becomes an interesting free agent. Cleveland's improved the offense around him.
Interesting, such a broad word.
He'll only be 31 years old.
Yeah.
But unless he goes out and lights it up, I don't know who's going to want to deal with that.
I mean, if the Steelers roll with Rodgers this year and Aller shows a little bit of a glimpse and Howard shows a little bit of a glimpse and Rodgers retires, you think they're going to sign Deshaun Watson? No. I mean, and what team would?
Because let's not kid ourselves, there's a lot of off-the-field baggage that comes with that, too.
Yeah, and it's been a while.
If he's still a top 10 quarterback in the league,
that's different, right.
Sometimes you're willing to carry that baggage. But what the questions are going to be. And I know it's been a while, but that stuff's still – it had been a while with Michael Vick, and that was still a massive thing when the Steelers signed him. There were protests down at the stadium.
Right.
I mean,
it's different when it's your starting quarterback,
It's different.
too.
It's different when it's a starting quarterback,
Not that I'm condoning it for anybody, but, man – maybe Arizona or the Jets or somebody like that does it. He'd have to have a pretty darn impressive year to someone to count on him as their starter in 2027.
Last one, Matt, is that Lamar Jackson and C.J. Stroud inch closer to free agency.
Wow.
I could see it with Lamar.
Yeah.
Because if he doesn't have a completely healthy year and they don't live up to expectations again, and all of a sudden he's maybe lost a step of that athleticism.
It's a new coach.
C.J. Stroud, though, would still surprise me.
I mean, he played so bad. But just for a short stint. I mean, he has to be still part of the plan. As for Lamar, his mom's his agent. So
True.
Negotiating with him can't be easy. And we saw that the first time around whenever he became, quote, a free agent. And
great point to bring
there
up.
was weird collusionish things going on there. No one thought they could want to sign Lamar Jackson that year when they were, come on. Anyway, that's just pet peeve. Maybe. I would bet both those guys are the Texans and Ravens starting quarterbacks for the foreseeable future.
I would certainly lean that way as opposed to the opposite way. Sure.
I mean, even if the Ravens, if they had a season like this where they didn't make the playoffs, I can't imagine the fan base or ownership saying, I just don't think Lamar can win the big one. Right. I mean, that guy's a loser.
What's he ever done in the playoffs? We'll get someone better out there.
Yeah. Now, side note on the Ravens, and I've heard a couple people bring this up because I think Mr. Bisciotti has brought it up himself, that he may not keep the team much longer. So if there's new ownership, there's already a new coach, maybe they just see things different.
Interesting.
But I wouldn't. If he hits free agency, I'll bring him here.
Yeah, bring him in.
Either one of them.
Oh, that would be a story.
Yeah. I hope they both hit free agency. I'd give them whatever they want.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe make the market a little more. Listen, more options for the Steelers would never be a bad thing. Hour in the books, another hour to go. We'll hit on some of your questions, comments, concerns in hour number 2. Also, rookie projections are out for the rookie quarterbacks in the NFL this year in terms of overs and unders and expectations for passing yards and touchdowns and all that stuff. I want to dig into those numbers a little bit with Matt Williamson when we return. Halfway home here on a Thursday. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Good evening, Steeler Nation. How we doing? Well, that's good. Us too. Just a few hours away from this Steelers schedule becoming officially official. Of course, 8 p.m. will be a little schedule hour-long special for you with Matt, with Pursuta. Did we ever figure out if it's Rob or
I
Tom
thought it was Rob, but
you?
then someone threw in yesterday it might be Tom because Rob's got Pirate stuff, so I have not confirmed that.
Okay. You know
So,
that
wait, I
Kinger
think
guy.
we're
That Kinger
8
guy,
to 9 on DV.
Yes, that Kinger guy does love his baseball this
He
time
does.
of year, I tell you.
Born in Cooperstown.
He's kind of standing me up so far today. Him and I were texting back and forth yesterday, and I forgot to ask him, so I texted him this morning, and I was like, "Hey, you going to Springsteen next week? Because Bruce is here in Pittsburgh on Tuesday." And Kinger, much like
You're
myself,
talking about Rob, not Pursuta. I assume Pursuita's
Pursuit.
going.
Oh my god! I'll never. One of my favorite random Pursuita stories is I saw 2022. I saw Bruce in Philadelphia with my mom and my mother-in-law.
Okay.
And that
Just
was
the three of you?
Just the three of us. I had never seen Bruce before in my life.
Oh, wow.
And my mom and mother-in-law are both super fans. And my mom's seen him, I think, 20-some times. My mother-in-law's seen him 70-some times.
So they saw them way before.
Yes.
This was not their first time.
No.
Yeah.
But they got me tickets for like a Christmas gift or birthday gift or something like
Which is
that.
awesome,
and
yeah.
we had a fun, like we stayed in the hotel right by
I'm
the
just chuckling
stadium.
that your wife wasn't invited. I mean, it was her mom, right?
Someone had to stay home with the kids.
Okay, I
mean,
guess you had kids at that point, at least. All right.
And so in Philadelphia, I'm all excited. We pregame, all this. We're staying in a hotel right by the stadium. I think it was only the second concert I had been to post-COVID, so there was still an amazing energy. We're back to events and all that. And I get to my seat. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. I'm looking around, and sitting about 6 rows in front of me is Mike Pursuit.
Ah, nice.
But I texted Kinger this morning, and I was like, "Hey, dude, I meant to ask you when we were talking yesterday. You going to Springsteen next week?" No text back yet.
Oh, big time.
Big time Rob King.
He's a big fan, too?
He is, yeah.
I assume, yeah.
When Bruce came last year and did 2 nights, I went to the first night, but not the second night. He went to the second night, but not the first night. And then we were dorking out on the plane that weekend, comparing set lists and which ones we liked better and all that good stuff. Speaking of set lists, the NFL draft, the opener, the headliner of the set list was Fernando Mendoza, of course.
Sure.
And Matt, projections are out for rookie year stat lines for the quarterbacks. 10 of them drafted in this draft class.
Not expecting a lot of action from this
Not
group.
expecting a lot of action for a lot of these guys. This is not one of those years where there's 4, 5, 6 taken in the first round and you see a lot of them immediately starting. But I still thought this would be fun to go over these numbers.
Yeah, I agree.
And particularly what they think about when we get to Drew Aller here, a couple names down this list.
Okay. I think there are some sneaky ones that could see more playing time, especially if things go poorly with for folks in front of them.
Yeah.
Right.
Number 1, of course, Fernando Mendoza. Here is his projections for the 2026 season. A little over 3,000 passing yards, 15 touchdown passes, 10 interceptions, about 230 rushing yards, and 2 touchdown runs.
Okay.
That's a lot of interceptions.
Yeah, that stuck out too. I'm dividing 3,000 by 17 equals 176.5 yards per game.
Remember,
I don't know
though,
if he's going to start the season.
I was just going to say, what if we don't see him until Halloweenish?
Yeah, when I did that quick math, I was going to figure out, does that mean they think he's only going to start 12 games, or do they think he's only going to throw for like
I don't see
175 a game?
Yeah,
and
I
start
don't
them
see an
all?
exact number here, but I
don't think he's going to start the season.
I don't think he's going to start week 1.
Yeah, I think he'll get in there.
But maybe he is by week 4 or week 5.
Yeah.
And still plays 13 games, 14 games, something like that.
I don't know if I might go fish if I were the Raiders who gave me those stats. I mean, that's not a bad rookie year. It sounds terrible because it's not like, MVP stuff. Oh, it means he's a bust. No. And he will throw picks, and they'll probably be playing from behind and be in some tough situations too. And his receivers aren't wonderful. But I'm expecting a little more than that out of him.
I think a little bit more. The 3,000 passing yards is fine.
Especially if it's only, 14 games or 12 games.
And if he accounts for 17 total touchdowns, I'd take that.
That's not bad, right?
Interception numbers, I would like to bring down a little bit. Maybe a few more rushing yards, too. But again, it's all within the context of how many games he plays. That'll be, I think, the most interesting thing to see.
Now, obviously, he's probably going to play the most games of any of these rookies.
I would be shocked if he didn't. That means someone got hurt or something went just drastically different than the plan.
The only one who I'd take number 2 is probably Beck.
Carson Beck?
Yeah, just because of what's in front of him, the state of the team. That's one of my Aller issues is, there was the 2 first-round picks, Simpson and Mendoza, obviously. Then there was a gap, as there often is nowadays. I mean, usually if you're good enough to be a starter, you go into round 1. If you're, we'll see, you're a round 3 type of guy. And it was Aller and it was Beck. And I like Aller more. I'm not a Beck fan. I mean, I know the Steelers brought him in.
You and I talked about that a lot during Around Campus.
I have my questions about Aller, but I would much rather try to develop him than Beck.
Completely agree.
Anyway, so I was happy that Beck did not land here. But the thing about at least Beck's situation is I bet the Cardinals have more on-field data and tape after his rookie year to say, are we in that boat completely, or are we in the college boat? That's my worry with the Steelers is I just don't know how they'll have that answer. I can't imagine Aller's the starter in week 4, even if Rodgers got hurt. I mean, I would think Rudolph, if he's still here, or Howard might even play ahead of him then. Mm-hmm. So I just don't know how you accumulate enough data between now and the 2027 NFL draft.
It's going to be the toughest part about Aller, about Will Howard, about both of those guys. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, they'll see a lot more of those guys than we will.
Oh, yeah.
And
these next couple months, they'll get tons of action.
But
then it'll be a long time after that.
What you do in the stadium certainly carries a lot more weight than what you do in practice.
Are we trading 2 first-round picks to go get, sellers, or are we going to take a receiver and roll with Aller,
Hey, you know what, though? You could always take the quarterback, and if Aller develops, you end up trading somebody. And
it's not a bad thing to have a couple of them, obviously.
We've outlined many examples of how the Patriots used to do that when they had Brady, how the Packers did that when they had Favre. Ty Simpson, pick 13 overall to the L.A. Rams. The projections, as you can imagine, are pretty low.
Yeah.
146 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 5 rushing yards. So, I mean, I think they literally think he might get in once or twice and mop up duty at the end of a blowout type game.
Or maybe Stafford misses a half or something like that, Obviously, I don't envy these folks that have to do projections in the fantasy world that they do a ton of them because injuries. I don't know how you do them.
Yeah, and you know what's funny, actually? Now that I'm looking at this, those are the only 2 that they do actual projection numbers for.
Okay.
The others are just kind of like...
Because I think Beck's going to play at least 8 games.
Yeah, that's interesting to me because I don't expect them to give us numbers for Garrett Nussmeier or Baron Morton.
7th-round pick, right.
But here's what they say about Beck, and then we'll do the same for Aller.
Okay.
In terms of when they could get on the field.
Yeah.
Beck could see time at any point in the upcoming season. While it is not likely, there is still potential for him to be the week 1 starter. If that doesn't happen, he could certainly be thrust into the lineup at any point, mid-season, if the Cardinals struggle out of the gate, or November, December if the season is lost. If Arizona falls out of playoff contention, don't be surprised to see the team throw him out there to see what he has ahead of the 2027 NFL Draft. While starting week 1 is a long shot, there's a distinct possibility of him playing any point from week 2 on.
I agree with all that. I
Absolutely.
would even throw in the sentence that they're projected to have the hardest schedule in the league.
Cool.
And I would also mention that Jacoby Brissett is, at this minute, not happy with the team and his contract status. If you're going to make me the starter, don't pay me like a backup. And frankly, if Rodgers were to snub the Steelers, maybe Brissett would be one of those other options, or could some team pry him away? I think Beck's going to play more than you think. And I don't think it's going to go well. And I think they could end up with the first pick in the draft, and we'll say, Beck, we're not slowing us down one bit to take Arch Manning or whoever,
There's a lot of different ways that could play out.
It could.
And it could always be a scenario, and this could happen with a Drew Aller or a Will Howard too, where after this year, the franchises say, we think that guy can play in the league for 10 years and be a quality number 2.
Oh, yeah.
We want him around, but we're still going to go shopping for our luxury vehicle.
Frankly, I thought that was the plan with Howard when they drafted him. I know that the Steeler community has lost their mind, and it's cooled down a little since they drafted somebody else.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah, it's funny how it works. But I always called Howard the next year's first-round pick, because this is when I thought
caddy, right?
His caddy, yeah. I mean, like, I thought he was perfect for it, because this draft class, we thought Aller and Nuss and Klubnik were all going to be way better than they were in first-round picks, and it didn't work out that way. And this upcoming draft might do the same to us. But I thought that guy would come in a year after Howard and remember, maybe even played against him the year before, and remembered him winning the national title and be like, dude, you were awesome. I remember you in college. You took the best team all the way. And Howard is considered a super smart, maybe he's a future coach like Jason Garrett was to Aikman or Reich was to Kelly. Yeah. I mean, that's who I thought he was. And maybe he'll be way more than that. But if he is, that's a great 6th-round pick, folks,
Absolutely.
Be Leftwich to Ben.
I was going to say, if he's Charlie Batch, that's a home run for a 6th-round pick.
Now, the difference with those guys was in another life in Jacksonville and Detroit, they were the number ones. They weren't like drafted to be the caddy. At one point they were swinging the clubs in the Masters,
I'd like to swing a club in the Masters. Drew Aller, where he could get on the field. Much of Aller's situation is contingent upon Aaron Rodgers' impending decision. If Rodgers returns as expected, Aller likely won't see the field except for preseason and potential injury fill-in spots during the 2026 campaign. But it would benefit the Steelers to get Aller game experience to see what they have entering the 27 draft, which should be strong at quarterback. Aller will join 6th-round pick Will Howard as development players, vying to be Rodgers' backup if the 42-year-old quarterback returns. If he doesn't, then all bets are off.
So I've said this a lot. I do think Rudolph's future here is in great jeopardy. I mean, if they only keep 3, I can't imagine Aller or Howard getting cut. And even if Rodgers does not come back, I can't imagine those being the only guys in camp, or Rudolph and the 2 young pups. That being said, I don't know that Aller will even be active on game day. Like, I bet he's not even the 2. Like, I think he has more ability than Howard, but I would bet when camp breaks, they'd be more comfortable with Howard as the 2 than Aller. Just fundamentals and
I know it's a new coaching staff, but still, just
he's been around a year longer.
Another year longer.
Right.
From
less volatility to his game.
From the time that Will Howard has had to sit and observe and be around Aaron Rodgers and be around Mason Rudolph too. That's a guy that's been in the league for 8 or 9 years. He's a professional. He knows what it takes. As opposed to everything that we see and we hear and credible reports are that they're like doing a factory reset on Drew Aller.
Exactly.
Like they're like stripping him down and rebuilding him. And,
right. Take every part out and sandblast it and paint it perfectly and build it right back together into a beautiful Benz or whatever,
If in that case, man, Will Howard better be that guy now, or else I don't know what his path to becoming if they are doing all that factory reset on Drew Aller and still think he's more ready to be QB2, I would say that does not bode well for Will Howard's future. Right now in the present.
And I know a lot of people think I'm a Howard hater, and I'm not. I'm just trying to be a realist. But I do think, and I expect, moving on from Rudolph will be much easier at cutdown date than it sounds today, because I think Howard, through mini camps, especially preseason, and his time at Latrobe this upcoming year, will prove enough that this coaching staff says, I can live with him with my 2 in week 1. You know, that he can be the Rudolph for me week 1 if Rodgers gets hurt mid-game or whatever. Now, that being said, if by chance week 18 doesn't matter, Steelers have a playoff spot locked up, or they're eliminated, or they're undefeated, whatever, I'm starting Aller.
Now, hold on. If the Steelers are undefeated, I want to run the gauntlet.
Right.
No, you're absolutely right.
If it's one of those meaningless games, you play Aller.
But I completely agree on you with that. But I think the one hiccup in that would be if it's the last game of the season and it's meaningless, but it's Aaron Rodgers' last game of his career.
Well, who knows? Something weird like that. But if Rodgers wants to sit and you already have a playoff spot locked up, or you're eliminated or whatever, I'm getting Aller in there.
Man, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be
all
real
subject to change, though. We watch these guys live at Latrobe. One might be 1,000 times better than the other. Who knows? It's going to be fun.
Matt, who's got a better, as we round out this exercise, who's got a better chance of seeing the field in any capacity this year, Cole Payton or Taylon Green? Because they've both got a log jam of quarterbacks ahead of them.
Yeah, but they could be gadget guys.
And maybe it has to be Taylon Green just because Jalen Hurts is established as the guy in Philly.
I was thinking that too.
They have Tanner McKee, who they really like. They have Andy Dalton, who is obviously a veteran that's seen it all.
Like, I don't know, like, how do you
Green's
even
a lot of big question marks in front of him.
Exactly. They could all fall in. There's a much better chance that the Browns dudes fall on their face, or they're eliminated and they just say, let's put Green in for the last 4 games and just see what he's got, you know? No doubt. There was some talk that they don't want Hurts to do much more tush pushing just because it beats him up.
Sure.
That maybe that could be Peyton. But are you going to have him active just to do that? I mean, because McKee's going to be active. Dalton's on the roster, you know?
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, unless he's helping on special teams or doing something else.
And
I can't put him out there for 3 plays a game.
And Howie Roseman has said that they're willing to keep 4 quarterbacks on the roster. I don't know about that. Maybe Andy Dalton's a placeholder.
Does Dalton end up somewhere else?
I would think so, because even if they still look at Cole Payton and they go, he's not going to be ready to play any meaningful snaps in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
If you love Tanner McKee as much as you reportedly had and have asked for teams inquiring what it would take to trade for him, I would imagine you're dang confident in that guy as your backup at least.
I'd say he's clearly the 2.
So at that point,
and if things get off the rails, he might be the 1.
Andy Dalton kind of becomes redundant.
Now say, why do we need this guy around? Right.
Yeah. Interesting. We'll obviously be keeping tabs on all of those quarterback situations, but certainly the Pittsburgh Steelers as camps and OTAs and all that in preseason gets rolling along. Rob King's ears must have been burning.
He texted you back?
me in segment. He said, unfortunately, I am not going to see Bruce. I have to work a Pirates broadcast.
Life gets in the way.
It's hard being so popular.
I know.
Rob King, I tell you.
In so many directions.
You do
I don't know if I'll
TV,
see him tonight or not.
do radio. Oh, you better. Yeah, I don't know. The Pirates do have a game tonight, I think. Yeah, they do. It's baseball. They play 160 million games a year. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson, it is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. The last week or two, Matt and I have spent a good chunk of our programming kind of discussing, projecting, dissecting this Steelers rookie class. Mm-hmm. The 10 draft picks as well as the 6 undrafted free agents and some of the vets and the tryout guys that have been invited back for mini camps and OTAs and,
it's exciting.
And training camp. It is exciting. And with that...
That last segment had me more excited for Aller, I'm doing my best, and Howard in Latrobe. Yeah. I mean, the coming weeks will be fine, but in Latrobe's different, you know?
I'll be excited to see those guys sling it and what they're working with. Obviously, rookie minicamp over the weekend. Matt and I did want to, at some point this week, and we're going to do it now, play comments from Steelers' new head coach, Mike McCarthy, about all the moving and shaking going on down there at rookie minicamp. As you can all imagine, plenty of questions about Maxie Honachor, plenty of questions about Drew Aller. Here's what the Steelers head coach had to say.
All right, well, good afternoon. Just first want to start off and talk about the rookie orientation camp that we're having. It's been extremely productive couple days here. The rookies will conclude tonight, and then we felt it was important for them to be home for Mother's Day, and then we'll start with those guys with our veterans on Monday. But very pleased with the amount of work, the quality of work that we've been able to accomplish with these young men. We've taken a very slow approach. I've gone to this format probably the last 10, 12 years, and it just gives a chance to get everybody acclimated and have clear understanding of the expectation of just how we operate here with the Steelers. And it's also been good for us as coaches because obviously this is our first year. But they're obviously here because of what they've shown in their college careers, so we're very pleased with everything they've done as far as their physical gifts. But so far they've passed the mental challenge that we've thrown in front of them. So that's it's been an impressive couple days. We've had two practices to evaluate, but the classroom and the communication and the interaction has I've been very impressed with. So that's what we've been doing. So with that, I'll take your questions.
Mike, you saw Drew on the football field for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Just what are you looking for when what are you evaluating when you see him out there? What did you see?
I think he's the perfect description of what I've just said. He's physically gifted. He's a gifted thrower of the football. But he's no different than any other young quarterback that I've had the opportunity to work with. I mean, everybody teaches footwork a little differently. Everybody has a system of offense and how you tie your quarterback, particularly in the pass game, to that. So there's a lot of work there. We're able to just adjust some fundamentals that we think will help him. I think a big part of quarterback play is understanding the profile of the individual. They're all built a little differently. Some guys are higher cut than others. So we just. It was great to get him on film. Frankly, the first thing that we did with Drew, and just no different than we did with Will and Mason, we have a profile tape, so we were able to do that yesterday, evaluate that, and tried some things today that he responded to very favorable. So he made a very good first impression.
What were your first impressions of both Max and Jennings?
Excellent. Obviously, they're definitely look like Pittsburgh Steelers linemen. I think just when you look for young men that definitely have the anchor to play the style of football that we want to play. There's huge emphasis and focal point on the O&D line here. As far as how we want this team to look and play, and those guys fit right in.
Given the reps that might be available at wide receiver, what are you picking up from Bernard as to how he's picking up the offense and how much you can throw at him quickly?
I think that's a question probably a little further down the line when we get into OTAs. This is rookie orientation. As you see, we went to the team drills. We wanted to go full speed as far as how we line up and how we communicate, how we shift in motion, but we were blowing the whistle really quick there. We just wanted to get the communication, everybody to fit, and no different the routes. So, but football comes easy to him. His understanding is very high. Doesn't blink. I love his demeanor. You could see why his versatility in college, definitely carries over. So I think he's been an excellent fit for us.
Mike, with Dunker moving to guard in college, how's that transition been? And is that something that takes a while for a young guy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think once you get started, once again, we've had 2 days on the field in helmets, so same deal. The vertical sets and some of the things we do are a tad different than maybe he's done in the past. It's for all those guys, but I don't want to be redundant here, but he's made a very good first impression.
Navy's offense is unique. How's Eli picked up some of different concepts that you guys have?
Yeah, he's picked it up. Bright, obviously, obviously has an excellent skill set, and we can see the quickness that just jumps off the field at you. But yeah, he seemed very comfortable out there.
What are some of the things you're looking for in these settings from these players? Is there anything specific you want to see, especially like on the football field? What can they do?
Yeah, definitely. Exactly what I told him as part of the expectation. I wanted to see them meet the mental and emotional challenge. Taking an installation from the time they got here Thursday night. So everybody met individually Thursday night, come in, and we put them on the exact same schedule that our vets are on. So get 2 days of flow of how they're going to train, the expectation of what exactly they need to do when they come back here Monday, and then really, we stressed them mentally. And the emotional challenge was to try to see them, line up and play with the speed in the pre-snap and get the first part. And I thought they did. I thought they did a really good job. And comparing to other teams that have put this practice type schedule through. So, but like I said, that was a very, very good first impression. As both the offense and defense.
Drew talked a lot about footwork and the hierarchy of what makes a good quarterback, or what allows a quarterback to reach his full potential is footwork. Where does that, is that one of the, like a priority of yours when you're developing a quarterback, or where does that kind of?
Well, I'm not sure what you're asking me. You say priority.
Well, is footwork, unlocking good footwork, is that a key to?
Yeah, I think it makes a difference, and it gives you the ability to play faster. Gives you the ability to transition in and out of the challenges that occur, throughout quarterback play. What we're teaching him is different than the way he's played before. He hasn't spent a lot of time under center. He was a run and shoot guy in high school. He's played from 9 yards deep. So, there's just a lot of newness to him. But, it's just like anything. When you see the response from Friday's practice, talk about it Saturday morning, and then for him to go out there and do it today, that's encouraging. It's frankly, it's really the same types of stuff that we went through with Will, 4 weeks ago. So, these are two young guys that have a lot of football in front of them, got a lot of work to do. But gosh, they're definitely wired the right way, and they bring an excellent, physical skill set.
Is this a special feeling for you as a coach? You've coached a lot of veteran quarterbacks, but Drew is kind of like one of you guy you're getting first day. He's a guy that you can mold from start to finish. Is there a special feel for how you approach him as a quarterback versus other guys you coach?
Well, I love the whole process. It gives me, unbelievable joy to work with Tom Arth every day. I had to dig out the beta camp tapes from 2006, just to, from our time together. And so that's been a lot of fun for me. But yes, I love the young guys, especially when you get them when they're just starting out. So, I've always enjoyed the development of the quarterback position, and I've been so blessed to be around so many great veterans that I learned from. So I don't know if you probably can't tell by the way I look, but I didn't play quarterback. So, but it's something I really enjoy.
How helpful is it to have this one-on-one time? You mentioned you worked with Will a couple weeks ago, and now to have Drew, just to be able to hone in on each one individually when you're developing two younger quarterbacks.
It's really good to have the one-on-one time in the classroom and the walkthroughs, but having Will and Mason together is very beneficial when you go through it with another quarterback. And frankly, the quarterback school system of drills, the ideal is to have 3 guys. So it'll be great to have all 3 of those guys, because there's just a lot. There's a tempo to it. In the quarterback room, the relationship of the quarterbacks in that room, that's important. They spend a lot of time together, so we have a lot of fundamental conversations that we need to get started. But I think for a rookie to get the attention that he received since Thursday has been outstanding. But I'm really looking forward to getting him in the room with Will and Mason.
While you can't do things the same way as you did with the quarterback school before, how many of those same elements or philosophies are still going to be part of the development of these two young quarterbacks?
They're all there. It's all the same. It's just the time. It's the time that you have with these guys here at the facility. So and this has been going on for a decade. You have to have the relationship, the communication with your quarterbacks as they work away from here, and I think that's just today's NFL. So most of these guys have people they work with outside of the team that they play for externally. Some of these guys have started back in high school, so just have an understanding of who they're working with and what the expectations of how we do it. And I've never come across any quarterback coach or quarterback developer outside of any organization I work with that wasn't cooperative and collaborative and doing what's best for the individual quarterback.
Guys, a few more.
Going to be putting everyone together here in the coming days. What's going to be the biggest point of emphasis for you for the first couple of days of OTAs here?
Well, we got one more week before we go to the OTAs, so we really want to finish. We call it concept teach. We've laid out the concepts. Throughout all. I talk about 5 playbooks that we want to install before we leave here on June 12th. So the offense, defense, special teams, and obviously game management is a big one. So, and also we called a playbook of fundamentals. So just to get everything taught, the language, we want to accomplish that by June 12th, because when we get to Latrobe is when we really get to play football.
Two more.
Mike, you just said that 3 quarterbacks is ideal for your quarterback school system. It wouldn't be a press conference if we didn't ask you about Aaron Rodgers. Is there any update on the possibility of adding a 4th to that before you guys come back before May 18th?
I mean, 3 quarterbacks is the normal. 4 would be awesome. So.
Max.
Last one.
Mike, you didn't want to bring in another quarterback, or you wanted to just for right now, did you just want to have Drew do all the work?
We did, and we pushed it. I don't know how much you paid attention to to go 35 snaps in a team drill. That's pushing it, but he handled it. We kind of gauged it yesterday to see how we'd work through it, and he's a big part of it. Everybody else knowing their assignments and defense getting their communication. It was important for us offensively to really push the envelope in the pre-snap component of it, to make sure the defense is seeing the 4 or 5 different personnel groups and those types of things, because that's what defense needs. They need the formations, they need the motions, they need the communication, they need to make the adjustments. So I felt really good about that, and if your quarterback can't handle it, then you don't get to go to the speed and the tempo and the pre-snap that we were able to go. So, and I thought Drew did a hell of a job.
Pretty cool there, Mike McCarthy speaking about all the happenings, the moving and shaking at rookie minicamp over the weekend. I think you got a lot of some of the backstory and some of the specifics on that factory reset that we joked of Drew Uhler.
That stood out to me too, and I hope people enjoyed understanding. Every coach has a plan when they draft a guy, but clearly he kind of laid it out. We're going to start here, and then by training camp we're actually going to play real football, and this stuff needs to be in place, and I expect this incremental growth each time, and it's not just roll the ball out there and see how it goes.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes. No, I liked seeing hearing some of the details in that, just kind of his philosophies at large and some of that conversation there. That was good stuff. From Steelers' new head coach, Mike McCarthy. One more segment to go. When we return, you know the drill. Before we get out of here, we will get to your questions, comments, concerns, and reactions from YouTube and from the X Twitter. Wes Uhler, Matt Williamson. It is The Drive, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network. Final segment of The Drive here on this Thursday. It's been a fun show today. We've hit on a lot of different topics, and we will turn this thing over to you, as we always do, to close it down. The time is yours. Jeff's going to lead us off today. Jeff with the, I think, favorite type of question for us to get this time of year. He's got a football question and then a otherwise question. The football question, the first part is, how do you see the safeties being used and deployed this season? Also, what are your guys' top 5 favorite Western movies?
Whoa. Well, the safeties, I think, will be much more interchangeable than they've been in the past.
You've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, the Steelers were, by NFL standards, compared to the other teams, were pretty static with their safety usage. There was a distinct difference between the free and the strong. And I'm not even being critical of that. Well, I'm half being critical of that. Like when I thought Minka was the best free safety in the league. So use him as a free safety.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like
if you've got red paint, paint your barn red.
So it's funny. Coincidentally, my son went to the Pirate game yesterday with a bunch of his buddies, and I get a text because obviously in the T they're having this fight. Who was better, Troy or Ed? And so I'm like, it's a tie. Like, no, you have to pick. I won't tell you who I picked because it wasn't the guy in black and gold. But I said they're almost like they play two different positions. I mean, really comparing the two isn't apples to apples at all. Because if you ask Troy to play deep middle all the time, he's probably not even a Hall of Famer. I mean, he'd be okay at it, but he would.
And if you asked Ed Reed to play
blitz and come downhill and take on guards in the run game,
his career would have been even shorter.
It wouldn't have been as good. I mean, it's not the same. And the Steelers were a little bit well, they were very much more distinct with that than most defenses out there in today's NFL. Today, you'll see a lot more cover 4 shells, too high, where they both will rock and roll down and do things like that. I expect that to certainly be something you'll see more of, that it won't be as clear who the free and the strong is. The one thing that complicates the question, and I'm not sure if he's asking schematically like I just mentioned, but I don't know that you want Ramsey doing strong safety stuff. If he's going to play safety, which I think he's going to be a nickel when you have five DBs on the field, but when you have 4, I'm still unclear. I can't imagine he's going to be on the sideline. I assume he'll be a safety, and I would think Brisker will be on the sideline, and Ramsey's much more free, and Elliott's much more strong. But I've been telling all of our listeners, I want to quit using the words free and strong because I don't think it's going to matter as much going forward. And some teams don't even it doesn't make a difference at all. You would never say those words.
That's what we're getting. That's what we're inching closer to.
Yeah.
In no particular order, Tombstone.
Tombstone's 1.
I mean, it should be 1.
Yeah.
Good, Bad, and the Ugly. Hell or High Water. Unforgiven. American Outlaws. 310 to Yuma. Those are the ones. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but those are the ones that come to mind. Have you ever seen Hell or High Water? It came out like 10 years ago.
I haven't seen any of those.
It's so good.
And I know that's like insane, but I get like Clint Eastwood and I respect him and all that.
You're more of a TV show guy than a movie guy, aren't you?
Yeah, but I've seen a ton of movies from that era, obviously. I just never dug into Westerns that much. I outside of Tombstone, I'm not sure who even number 2 is on the list.
I used to watch them with my grandpa all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And some of these newer ones like Hell or High Water and American Outlaws is like 20 years old, but relatively newer. I'm a big fan of as well. Speaking of which,
no way you count No Country for Old Men.
Oh, if you do, that would be towards the top of my list, but I don't think that's.
I don't think it counts, right? Yeah.
What a great movie!
Oh man.
John says in the Al Pacino conversation, you got to mention 88 Minutes.
Never saw
it. If you're saying,
okay.
I've never seen that either. I'm going to have to, TV's giving us it's okay. I'm going to have to watch it, though. I've never seen it. I'll watch a Pacino movie. He said, also, make some of these listeners happy and tell us what your plans are for the weekend. Good one, John. My sister graduates from college this weekend, actually, though. So big shout out to my sister, Grace. And I will be down in one of my favorite places in the world, Morgantown, West Virginia.
Yeah, you're looking forward to it. That's cool.
Where it's supposed to be 80 degrees and sunny all weekend, and I'm going to have a rip-roaring time with my sis and her friends and our family for a little graduation weekend.
Awesome.
Jimbo Dean says, hey, guys, on a recent show, you were discussing...
Speaking of West Virginia.
Hold on. Does he have his location on here? He's from Utah, all right? Take it easy.
Yep.
He says you guys were having a conversation about Hall of Fame and active players, and he said I did a little bit of a homework. You guys talked about which season had the most active players in the Hall of Fame at one point, too. You kicked that around. He said the answer is 1971. 60 future Hall of Famers were on active rosters. 60, which is roughly 6% of the league at that time.
You said 71.
Yes.
Because, that's not even all the Steelers.
Correct.
I mean,
correct.
Yeah.
He said you also wondered about the quarterback portion of this. There was a 3-year stretch from 1970 to 72, which featured 11 different Hall of Fame quarterbacks on active rosters. With just 26 teams in the league back then, this means an incredible 42% of teams had a future Hall of Famer on their roster.
Wow. I mean, one of them
Jimbo Dean, thanks for doing the homework,
yeah,
dude.
right.
Big shout out. You're the star of the week here on this show.
That was humongous. I guess was it easier then than now?
So
I guess people played longer.
Here's what you and I, it's funny, these are conversations
right.
that we used to have with Dale and Pursuta when we were sitting at a bar, or we were driving to the combine.
Yeah.
I think in the, how do you compare what?
Is there more Hall of Famers per capita?
How do you compare what Franco Harris did against his competition to what Derrick Henry's doing again? How do you compare Mario Lemieux to Alexander Ovechkin in terms of goal scoring when the eras that they played in were so different and all these things? The one thing I think for sure is I think in the days of yore, I think sports probably until about the turn of the 21st century when it became huge business, I think it was easier for the best of the best to stand out.
I tend to agree.
I don't think Larry Bird would have and Magic Johnson would have been that much better than everybody else in the league if they played now. Would they still be the best? Yes, but that gap now between the greatest and the next tier has shrunk and shrunk and shrunk as these athletes are so insane in the training and everything. You can't do the Mario Lemieux. How do you get ready for training camp? Well, I stop ordering chips with my club sandwich and I don't smoke cigarettes every day. That doesn't work anymore, man.
There's no one like Jim Brown's such an example because he was bigger. Like Chuck Noll blocked for Jim Brown. And Jim Brown was bigger than Chuck Noll.
It was a lot easier for Bill. It was a lot easier for Bill Russell to be Bill Russell back then than it is now. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, I also think there's something to be said when you are that much better than your peers.
Right. Because usually the way I do all-time greats is how much better were you than your peers?
But then the all-time greats are never going to be anybody in the 21st century, I don't think.
You're right. I think it was easier to be better than your peers because every era is going to have special players. And I think the gap between special and almost special was greater, like you said. And the example I use all the time, which I think feeds both arguments, is Babe Ruth. Because my big argument with Babe Ruth is he had more home runs than most teams.
Right.
Like, that's nuts.
That's nuts. That would never happen in the modern era.
But he also didn't play against anyone that wasn't white.
Correct.
And
I think that's a pretty big part of that too.
That's big, right?
That's a pretty big part of the conversation. Right. He also no one from Latino America.
No, I mean
right?
no one with any pigment. Right. I mean, let alone all the Japanese players and all the Dominicans.
Cuban.
Right.
I
mean, come on, right.
Jim Bodine, thanks for doing the homework, dude.
That is pretty awesome.
That's
but
awesome.
I bet there's more Hall of Famers than per capita.
I think so.
Because I'm even trying to think like he did the quarterback thing. Like in 1970, yeah, there's good quarterbacks, but I don't think it was the level of even like the Marino Elway Montana era, let alone the Manning Brady Rodgers era,
I think
there were awesome quarterbacks everywhere.
I think the good ones back then just stood out a lot more.
Yeah, like Unitas was still around, Namath, but then there's like Len Dawson and Bart Starr and those kind of guys that were good, but I mean, they're not Marino.
Ian, I love it when we have these kinds of conversations. These are fun. You guys are asking good questions today and presenting good information. Ian says, gentlemen, happy schedule release day from the gross state of Ohio. Curious to see how many Sunday night games the Steelers get this season. I'm guessing 2 to 3. Also, I'm 31 years old. I'm going to Sonic Temple Fest this weekend. What's the over-under on how many mosh pits I can effectively participate in before I get winded or pull something? 1.
How old does he say?
31.
I've never been in a mosh pit in my life. I don't know what Sonic Temple Fest is, but I can kind of picture it.
Yeah.
I mean,
1.
Is 1 the answer?
I think 1's the answer.
Okay.
But you just have to know what you're getting into.
I assume you get beat up like crazy.
I would think so.
Yeah.
It's kind of, Ian, it's kind of like when I go play pond hockey for 4 or 5 hours on a random January day, I know I'm going to pay for it for the rest of the week.
No, I'm sure.
But it's still worth it.
Yeah, it's still worth it, right.
So do your thing.
Because frankly, when you get to my age, you can't do it anymore. I mean, you can't, so get it in.
Hey,
you know
what? You know what, Ian? It makes me, when my wife says to me, are you really going to go play 5 hours of pond hockey today? You know what I always say to her? I say, babe, we don't stop playing because we get old. We get old because we stop playing.
That's a great way of looking at it.
So, Ian, mosh on, brother. Josh says, along the lines of the fast food talk earlier this week, Wendy's is also my favorite.
That's
also,
pretty
guys,
strong.
It has to have a drive-through for it to be classified as fast food. I do kind of think like
that's not a bad parameter.
The Chipotle conversation.
Right.
That is, I think, a fair parameter.
Even like Subway, if they sit there and make it in front of you and you say, I want lettuce, I want, maybe it's not fast food. Not that it's slow food, but I do think
Not that it's slow food.
Drive-through, I think, is a good parameter.
Lou says, the year Brett Favre left, Mike McCarthy drafted Brian Braum in the 2nd round and Matt Flynn in the 7th round to compete with Aaron Rodgers. Do you see next year's quarterback room being a 1st-round pick to compete with Howard and or Aller? Yes.
We've talked that a million times.
Yes.
I think it's a distinct possibility. Yeah.
And Matt has said this before, and I think he's spot on. If you don't have 25-year-old Ben Roethlisberger that you know is your guy for the next 10 to 12 years, you should be drafting a quarterback pretty much every year.
Yeah.
Not necessarily always in the 2nd round like Brian Braum or anything like that, but you should be taking your swings on those guys because if one hits...
3 out of 5 years, 4 out of 5 years, yeah.
They traded... The Packers traded Mark Brunell and Hasselbeck for 1st-round picks during the Brett Favre era.
The Chiefs traded for Justin Fields and drafted Nussmeier this offseason.
The Patriots traded Brissett and Garoppolo each, I think, for 2nd-round picks in the Brady era. You can get some real good value from those guys.
Yeah, the Eagles traded Wentz. They inconspicuously took Hurts in the 2nd round when Wentz was kind of at an MVP-ish level and just said, he was too good to pass up. And then a year later, they shipped out Wentz for a bunch of picks.
Worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah.
And they were able to build.
And they end up upgrading.
They were able to build a juggernaut, upgrade at quarterback, build a juggernaut roster, go to 2 more Super Bowls and win one of them. It's pretty good business. Matt, that was a fun show today. Liked a lot of the different topics that we discussed. Everybody enjoy the schedule release party and shenanigans and content tonight. Reminder: 8 o'clock.
Tune in.
8 o'clock here. If you want to get Matt Williamson's thoughts, and obviously the next time we're all together, Matt and I will spend plenty of time combing through and digging through all the ins and outs of the Steelers 2026-2027 campaign. But that will do it for us today. Big thanks to Tyler V, for producing everything on the video side. For Matt Williamson, I'm Wes Uhler. Take care, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. As always, you know where to find us. It's on your 24/7 home of the black and gold, Steelers Nation Radio on the Steelers Audio Network.